there, and welcome to another episode of the Love Soul Connection podcast. I'm your host, Meeta, and today we are diving into a topic that's not talked about enough, but it is so important for every woman: sexual health. Now, I know the minute I say sexual health, some of you might feel a little awkward or squirmy, but trust me. This is one conversation that will make you feel more empowered and confident than ever. Understanding your sexual health isn't just about avoiding issues, it's about taking control of your body, your well being, and ultimately your happiness. Whether you are in a relationship, single, or somewhere in between, knowing what's going on with your body is key to feeling at ease and secure in your skin. So, why does sexual health matter? Well, it's about way more than just the physical stuff. Sure, we are talking about our anatomy, our periods, and how we take care of ourselves physically. But sexual health also impacts our emotional well being, our relationships, and even how we feel about ourselves on a daily basis. It's about confidence, trust, and getting comfortable with what feels good and what doesn't. And in today's episode, we are going to break it all down for you. We'll be talking about the basics of sexual health, how our bodies work, how hormones affect us, which I've covered extensively in another episode, and why it's so important to understand our own needs and boundaries. We'll also discuss personal care, why regular health checkups are so important, and we'll finish off with some tips on how to stay connected with your body in a loving and empowering way. So grab your coffee, get cozy, and let's jump into this conversation that can help you feel more empowered, more informed, and more confident about your body and your sexual health. So let's get started. All right, now that we've broken the ice, let's dive into the basics of sexual health. Understanding your body is step one in building confidence and feeling good about yourself. The more you know, the more empowered you will feel. And trust me, that confidence shows whether you are in the boardroom or in the bedroom. So, first up, let's talk about female anatomy. Don't worry, I'm not going to get into any weirdly scientific details. But we do need to know the basics, right? You know your vagina, correct? But there's also your cervix, your uterus, your fallopian tubes, and of course, your ovaries. They all work together like a team, each playing its part to keep everything running smoothly. Think of your reproductive system like a well oiled machine. The ovaries are like the engine, releasing eggs every month. The fallopian tubes are the roads that guide those eggs, and the uterus? Well, that's where everything either stays or doesn't, depending on whether the egg meets a little sperm and gets fertilized. And let's not forget about the vagina. This is the entry point to your reproductive system, so to speak. It's where menstrual blood comes out, where things like tampons or menstrual cups go, and yes, where sexual intercourse happens for many people. Imagine you're talking to a friend and you hear her say something like, I have cramps every month. Why does this always happen to me? Well, it's your uterus doing its thing. It contracts to help shed its lining during your period, and sometimes that can hurt. Understanding the anatomy behind this pain helps you to recognize that it's a totally normal part of your body doing what it's supposed to do. But we'll get to managing that later. Next up is the menstrual cycle. Yes, the famous monthly visitor. Your period, that is. And trust me, I get it. It's not always the most fun topic to talk about, especially if you're in a rush to get to that promotion or have an important meeting. But knowing your cycle is so important for understanding how your body works throughout the month. So here's a quick breakdown. Your menstrual cycle typically lasts 28 days, give or take, and it's divided into four phases: the menstrual phase, the follicular phase, the ovulation phase, and the luteal phase. The menstrual phase is when you are bleeding, and it's often the phase where most of us feel drained, emotional, or even a little more sensitive. This is where the cramps can hit. So just know that it's normal and be kind to yourself. The follicular phase. After your period ends, this is the phase where your body starts to prepare for a potential pregnancy. Estrogen rises, and you might feel more energetic, focused, or even creative. It's like when you feel like you can conquer the world, and you probably should. The ovulation phase. This is when an egg is released from the ovaries. For many women, this is when libido can be at its highest, and you might feel more flirty or in the mood. So, if you notice that you're feeling extra sparkly and ready to go, there's your reason. And the last is the luteal phase. After ovulation, progesterone increases and your body gets ready to support a pregnancy, if one happens. If not, it's just preparing to shed the uterine lining. This is where you might feel a little more tired, moody, or bloated. PMS, anyone? So here's a fun fact. Have you ever noticed that your mood might swing around your period? One week, you're feeling like the queen of the world. And the next, you're not sure why you want to cry during a commercial for peanut butter. That's totally hormonal. Your body is just doing what it does best, adapting and adjusting to the hormonal shifts throughout the cycle. Speaking of hormones, let's talk about hormonal balance. You've probably heard about hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. These are the key players in regulating your sexual health, mood, and even how you feel about your body. When they are in balance, everything is smooth sailing. But when they are out of balance, you might notice things like mood swings, acne, or changes in your libido. For example, estrogen is your friend when it comes to energy and mood. But if you have too much or too little of it, you might experience things like heavy periods, irritability, or fatigue. Same goes for testosterone. It affects your libido and sexual drive. But when it's out of balance, it can mess with your mood or confidence. I have spoken a lot about this in the previous episode on hormones. So you can give it a listen to know more. Ever had those days where you feel like you're on top of the world one minute and then spiraling into a full on emotional meltdown the next? Yeah, blame it on hormonal shifts. It's not all in your head. Your hormones are doing their thing, and sometimes they just don't play fair. So let's tackle some common myths around it. You might have heard some of these before, like if you haven't had a baby, you're not really a woman. Ugh, no. The truth is, your worth and your femininity are not determined by your ability to have children. It's about how you feel in your own body. I can share something personal here where I decided not to have kids. So it doesn't make me any less a woman. The second myth: periods are gross and should be hidden. Nope. Menstruation is a natural process, and it's time we stop pretending like it's something shameful or embarrassing. There is a whole podcast episode which I have recorded on normalizing menstruation. Sex should come naturally without any issues. False. Sexual health is about communication, comfort, and confidence. It's okay to explore and figure out what feels right for you and your partner. I've spoken to so many women who feel insecure because of these myths. They feel embarrassed about their period, worried about body image, or stressed about not performing sexually the right way. But here's the truth: sexual health isn't about perfection, it's about feeling good in your own skin and being informed. So, ladies, that's the basics of sexual health: understanding your body, your hormones, and your cycles. It's not as complicated as it seems, and trust me, the more you learn about it, the more in control you will feel. It's your body, and you deserve to know how it works and what's going on behind the scenes. Stay tuned because we'll dive deeper into how you can take care of yourself, manage hormonal shifts, and get comfortable in your own skin in the next parts of this episode. Alright, now that we've tackled some basics about sexual health, let's chat about personal care and hygiene. Because let's face it, who doesn't want to feel fresh, clean, and confident in their own body? But here's the thing: it's easy to overdo it when it comes to intimate hygiene, and sometimes that can actually mess with your natural balance. So let's break it down with some hygiene essentials. When it comes to intimate hygiene, the most important thing is to understand that your body already has a natural self cleaning mechanism. Your vagina, for example, is pretty good at taking care of itself. The thing is, it's a bit like the Goldilocks of your body. It likes things to be just right. One of the key elements here is pH balance. You've probably heard that word tossed around a lot, but what does it mean? Well, your vagina has a slightly acidic pH, around 4.5, which helps to prevent infections and maintain a healthy environment. So, when you use harsh soaps, any scented products, or other strong chemicals down there, they can mess with that natural pH balance and lead to discomfort or even infections. Ever notice that after using a heavily scented body wash, you feel a little off down there? That's your body telling you, hey, I don't like that. The skin down there is super sensitive, and strong fragrances or harsh ingredients can throw off the balance. So, when it comes to washing, keep it simple. Just use lukewarm water and a gentle, unscented soap or cleanser if you must. But honestly, water does the trick for most women. Now, on to preventing infections. I know no one likes to talk about infections, but trust me, it's important to know how to prevent them and what the signs are so you can catch them early. The three biggies to know about are UTIs, yeast infections, and bacterial vaginosis. Let's start with UTIs. These happen when bacteria get into your urinary tract, and they can cause a painful burning sensation when you pee, frequent urination, and sometimes lower belly discomfort. UTIs are super common, especially in women, and they are often caused by wiping incorrectly from back to front or not peeing after sex, which can allow bacteria to enter the urinary tract. To prevent UTIs, wipe from front to back. Stay hydrated and always pee after sex. And if you're prone to them, it doesn't hurt to incorporate cranberry juice or supplements into your routine, as they can help prevent bacteria from sticking to the walls of your bladder. Next up is yeast infections. These happen when the balance of yeast and bacteria in the vagina gets disrupted, often leading to itching, burning, and a thick white discharge. Yeast infections are usually triggered by things like antibiotics, tight clothing, or changes in your hormone levels, like during your period. To avoid yeast infections, wear cotton underwear so that your lady parts can breathe, and avoid tight clothing for long periods. If you're on antibiotics, talk to your doctor about taking probiotics to help maintain that healthy bacteria balance. Now let's talk about bacterial vaginosis. BV is a bit more mysterious. It happens when the balance of good and bad bacteria in the vagina is thrown off. It can lead to a fishy smelling discharge, itching, or irritation. Unlike yeast infections, BV is more about an imbalance of bacteria, and it's often caused by things like douching, unprotected sex with new partners, or stress. For BV, the key is to avoid douching, which disrupts the natural bacteria in your vagina, and practice safe sex to avoid introducing harmful bacteria. Also, try to avoid using products that are scented down there as they can irritate the area. I've had so many women tell me that they were too embarrassed to talk to a doctor about their symptoms, thinking they might have something serious or embarrassing. The reality is, infections like UTIs or yeast infections are super common and easily treatable. So don't be shy about seeing a doctor if you notice any unusual symptoms. Finally, let's address some of those intimate hygiene myths that float around out there. One of the biggest myths that I've heard is that you need to use special intimate washes or cleansers to keep things fresh and clean. But here's the thing, your vagina doesn't need any fancy products to stay fresh. It has its own cleaning system, and adding extra products can actually do more harm than good. Simply wash with warm water, and your body will do the rest. Another myth is that the scent of your vagina should always be fresh or floral. But the fact is, vaginas have a natural scent, and that's totally normal. As long as it's not a strong, unpleasant odor or accompanied by itching or discomfort, it's totally okay. I've heard of women who have tried everything, from scented wipes to perfume soaps, because they thought that was the only way to stay clean. But sometimes these products can just cause more irritation or infections. It's like adding too many ingredients to a recipe. It messes with the flavor. So there you have it, ladies. Keeping things fresh down there doesn't need to be complicated. Stick to simple, gentle care and listen to your body. It will let you know what feels right and what doesn't. Your body is amazing and it knows how to take care of itself when you give it the right environment. So be kind to yourself and keep things balanced. In the next segment, let's dive into some practical self care tips to boost your confidence and keep your sexual health in check. Now, let's talk about something that's crucial for overall sexual health and something that a lot of us avoid thinking about: routine screenings and checkups. I get it. Nobody really likes to visit the doctor unless it's absolutely necessary, me included. Guilty. But when it comes to sexual health, regular checkups are a game changer. It's not just about addressing issues when they arise, but about staying proactive and ensuring everything is running smoothly down there. Let's start with routine screenings. These are the checkups that you should be getting regularly to make sure that everything is okay and to catch any potential issues before they become bigger problems. First thing is pap smears. Now I know that word can make you squirm a little bit, but it's an essential part of maintaining good sexual health. Pap smears are primarily used to screen for cervical cancer, and they are recommended for women starting at age 21 or 3 years after becoming sexually active. It's a simple test that can detect changes in the cells of the cervix before they turn into something serious. Now, if you're over 40 or have a family history of breast cancer, you should also talk to your doctor about getting mammograms. Mammograms are a crucial tool for detecting breast cancer early, and early detection can save lives. It's one of those things that may feel like a big deal, but trust me, it's worth the peace of mind. I've had a friend who was in her late 30s and hadn't had a mammogram because she felt too young for it. But she eventually got one, and it caught an issue early on, something that could have been much worse if left undetected. Sometimes you just need to trust your body and listen to the doctors when they recommend these screenings. Now let's talk about STD screenings. This is the one that everyone should consider regularly, especially if you're sexually active. STDs don't always show symptoms right away, which is why it is crucial to get tested. Regular testing is not only important for your health, but also for the health of your partner. It's a simple way to make sure that you're all good and that you can keep living your best life sexually and otherwise. I had a client who was nervous about getting an STD screening because she thought it meant something was wrong with her. But once she went and got tested, she was relieved to know that she was perfectly healthy and it gave her more confidence in her relationships. It's just a part of being responsible for your own sexual health. Now, why are these screenings so important? Because they allow us to catch things early. And catching things early gives us better options for treatment or, in some cases, prevention. It's much easier to treat something when it is detected in its early stages than when it has been allowed to progress. Let's switch gears for a second and talk about signs of health issues. How do you know when it's time to go to the doctor? Well, your body is pretty smart and will usually let you know when something's off. If you are experiencing things like pain during sex, irregular bleeding, painful periods, or unexplained discharge, those are all signs that it's time to consult a healthcare provider. Don't ignore it. It might be nothing, or it might be something that needs attention. A friend of mine started experiencing irregular bleeding between periods. And at first, she just brushed it off thinking it was stress. But after a few months, she finally made an appointment. Turns out it was a benign fibroid, and it was an easy fix once it was diagnosed. She was so glad that she didn't wait any longer because catching it early meant that she didn't have to deal with something more serious down the line. Lastly, I want to normalize conversations with your doctor. I know that talking about sexual health can sometimes feel awkward or even embarrassing, but let me tell you, doctors have heard it all, and their job is to help you, not judge you. Whether you're talking about contraception, your menstrual cycle, or your libido, they are there to listen and help. If you're unsure about something or don't know what's normal, don't be afraid to ask. Write down your questions ahead of time if you need to. Remember that you are the expert on your body and it's important to be your own advocate when it comes to your health. I had a friend who was too shy to ask her gynac about pain during sex, even though it had been bothering her for a while. After finally speaking up, the doctor was able to diagnose her with a condition called endometriosis, and she's been on a treatment plan that has significantly improved her quality of life. So speak up when something doesn't feel right. It's very important. All right. So to wrap this all up, routine screenings like pap smears, mammograms, and STD tests are not just important, they are essential for your long term health. Listen to your body, and if something feels off, don't hesitate to get it checked out. And remember, talking to your doctor about your sexual health isn't awkward, it's empowering. Stay proactive, ladies, and keep putting your health first. Your body will thank you later. All right, let's dive into a topic that's often overlooked but is so crucial when it comes to sexual health and pleasure, and that is the mind body connection. Believe it or not, your mind plays a huge role in how much pleasure you experience. So, let's talk about how your brain and body are in sync and how to find out what feels good and why consent and boundaries are at the heart of a satisfying experience. Now, you might think that pleasure is all about what's happening physically, but guess what? A lot of it is happening in your brain. Yep, your mind is super involved in how you experience arousal and pleasure. When you're feeling relaxed, connected, and emotionally in tune with your partner, or even on your own, your brain releases chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, those feel good hormones that make everything feel, well, more enjoyable. On the flip side, if you're stressed, anxious, or distracted, say you've had a tough day at work and you're worrying about something else, your brain is less likely to release those feel good chemicals. That means your body may not respond in the way you want it to, and pleasure can feel a lot more elusive. It's like trying to enjoy a song when the sound is muffled or when your Wi Fi is lagging while you're trying to stream something. You know it's there, but the connection isn't quite working. I had a friend once who noticed that during times of stress, whether it was from work or personal issues, she couldn't seem to enjoy sex. It wasn't that her partner was doing anything wrong, but she just couldn't get in the mood. Once she realized that her mental state was affecting her, she started practicing more relaxation techniques like meditation and deep breathing before intimacy. Slowly but surely, she noticed a shift. When your mind feels calm and at ease, your body follows suit. Let's talk about something that's so important for sexual health and your overall pleasure: self exploration. I can't stress this enough. Learning what feels good to you without any shame or judgment is key. Whether it's exploring your own body through masturbation, paying attention to your senses, or just noticing what brings you comfort, it's all part of building a healthy sexual relationship with yourself. If you don't know what feels good, it can be difficult to communicate those desires to your partner. And remember, there's no one right way. It's about what works for you. A lot of people might shy away from exploring themselves because of societal taboos or fears of judgment. But that's where the problem starts. If you are unsure about your preferences or don't know what you enjoy, how can you expect your partner to know that? It's all about being curious and open without feeling any shame. In fact, self love is the first step to creating deep connections with others. I remember chatting with a client who used to feel uncomfortable talking about her desires with her partner. She didn't know exactly what felt good for her because she had never spent time exploring herself. She started setting aside time to really understand her own body. No pressure, no rush, just curiosity. And guess what? Once she learned what turned her on, she was able to communicate it to her partner, and their intimacy became way more fulfilling. That is how I was able to help her through my intimacy coaching. So, if you're thinking, how do I even start? Just start by being gentle with yourself. Touch different areas of your body. Pay attention to the sensations and keep an open mind about what brings you pleasure. Now that we've talked about the mental side of things, let's talk about boundaries and consent because these are fundamental to any pleasurable, healthy experience. It doesn't matter how much physical chemistry you have with your partner. If you aren't both on the same page about what feels safe and what feels comfortable. Boundaries are knowing what you want, what you don't want, and how to express that. They give you the freedom to enjoy intimacy in a way that feels right for you, whether you're just starting to get to know your sexual preferences or you have been in a relationship for a long time. Boundaries create that space for mutual respect. Consent is so much more than just saying yes or no. It's an active, ongoing conversation where you both feel heard, respected, and cared for. It's about checking in with each other, creating an environment where both people feel comfortable expressing what feels good, what doesn't, and how they want to be touched or not touched. A simple way to practice consent is by checking in during intimate moments. You can say things like, "How does this feel?" or "Is this okay?" It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's just about making sure that you're both on the same page. I have spoken at length about sexual boundaries in another podcast episode. Do give it a listen if you need to know more. So, to wrap it all up, remember that pleasure is not just about the body, it's about what's going on in your mind too. The better connected the two are, the more pleasurable the experience. Don't be afraid to explore what feels good for you and communicate it with your partner. And of course, always make sure that you are setting boundaries and giving consent. It's the foundation of every fulfilling experience. So go ahead, give yourself the space to feel what feels good, and don't be afraid to ask for what you need. Your pleasure matters. Now let's talk about something that's often a bit mysterious: libido. What affects our desire for intimacy, and why does it sometimes feel higher or lower depending on what's going on in our lives? Is it all about hormones, or is there more to the story? Let's break it down a bit. When we think about libido, we often jump straight to hormones. And while hormones do play a huge role in regulating sexual desire, it's not just about them. Libido is a complex mix of physical, psychological, and emotional factors. Let's look at each one of these. Yes, hormones definitely affect libido. For example, women might notice a drop in libido during their menstrual cycle, especially during the second half when progesterone is high. On the flip side, testosterone plays a significant role in both men's and women's libido. So, if you've ever felt like your desire for intimacy was higher some days and lower on others, you're not alone. It's likely tied to hormonal changes. Health problems like thyroid issues, diabetes, or certain medications can also impact your libido. These are the physical factors. Even something as basic as feeling really tired or unwell can lower your sexual desire. After all, if you're feeling sluggish or sick, the last thing on your mind is probably sex. And if you've ever noticed that after a tough workout or a long day, you're either too tired for intimacy or suddenly feeling energized, it's a reminder that your physical state impacts libido. The third thing is the psychological factors. Stress, anxiety, and mental health play a massive part in your desire for intimacy. If you're overwhelmed with work or personal issues, it can be hard to shift gears and feel connected with a partner. Plus, body image issues or past trauma can interfere with libido, making intimacy feel less appealing or even stressful. It's really a big mix, and it's important to recognize that libido isn't always something that you can control directly. It's a response to all of these factors coming together in our body. There are certain lifestyle factors which play a huge role in libido. How you can take care of your body, diet, exercise, sleep, and stress management has a direct impact on how your body and mind respond to intimacy. Believe it or not, what you eat can directly impact your desire. A healthy, balanced diet, rich in nutrients, supports overall hormonal balance. Eating too much junk food or being on a constant sugar high can lead to fluctuations in blood sugar levels, which can negatively impact libido. On the other hand, foods like dark chocolate, nuts, avocados, which are full of healthy fats, can promote better circulation and boost sexual health. Exercise is another important thing. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins and you improve blood flow, all of which can make you feel more energized, confident, and yes, more interested in intimacy. But there's a catch. While a moderate workout can boost libido, excessive exercise without proper rest can have the opposite effect. So it's all about finding the balance. The importance of sleep cannot be overstated. Poor sleep, lack of rest, or irregular sleep patterns can also seriously affect your libido. Why? Because when you're tired, your body is focusing on recovery and repair rather than on sexual function. The body needs its time to reset, and if it is deprived of quality sleep, energy levels drop. As a result, so does desire. And stress is a huge one. Stress and anxiety are total libido killers. When you're stressed, your body produces cortisol, the stress hormone, which can suppress other hormones like estrogen and testosterone. It's like cortisol is saying, hey, let's put a hold on libido for now. So, relaxation techniques like meditation, yoga, or just taking time for yourself can really help to lower stress levels and reawaken your desire. Now, here's something that I really want you to take away. Shifts in libido are totally normal. It's easy to think that something's wrong if your libido changes. But in reality, it is completely natural. Your libido will fluctuate depending on your cycle, stress levels, age, and even your relationship dynamics. For example, you might feel more desire at certain points in your menstrual cycle and less at others, and that's okay. Some women experience a boost in libido just before or during ovulation because estrogen levels are higher, and this is when your body is more likely to conceive. But then, during the luteal phase, which is after ovulation, progesterone kicks in and you might feel a dip in desire. This is completely normal and just a part of how your body functions. Also, if you're going through a major life change, like starting a new job, moving, going through a relationship shift, then your libido can decrease. But it's important to remember that it doesn't mean something's broken. Life happens, and sometimes your body just needs time to recalibrate. And hey, it's important to note that libido doesn't just vanish, it's a signal from your body. If you've noticed that your desire for intimacy has changed, take a moment to check in with yourself. Are you stressed, tired, or distracted? Could your diet or sleep be impacting your energy? Just like you wouldn't ignore physical fatigue, it's important to acknowledge your emotional and mental states. So, the next time you're feeling a little off or wondering why your libido has taken a dip, take a deep breath. It's a part of life's rhythm. It might be a hormonal shift, a lifestyle factor, or even just a sign that your body needs some self care. The key is to listen to your body, be kind to yourself, and know that your libido is normal no matter what it looks like at the moment. And remember, just because libido shifts doesn't mean it's gone forever. It's about understanding those shifts, listening to your body, and making sure that you're taking care of your overall health. And if you ever feel like your libido has completely disappeared or you're feeling disconnected, don't hesitate to reach out to a health professional to talk through any concerns that you might have. As we wrap up today's episode, let's just take a moment to reflect on everything that we've talked about. Sexual wellness is not just a one time thing or something that only matters in the bedroom. It is a holistic journey, one that involves understanding your body, caring for your mental and emotional well being, and breaking free from shame. It's about being present with yourself, knowing what makes you feel confident, and owning your desires without hesitation. We've covered a lot today: how hormones affect us, how self care can boost our sexual health, and the importance of knowing your body to feel confident and in control. But here's the thing: this journey never really ends. As we grow, learn, and evolve, so does our connection to our bodies and our sexuality. The more you care for yourself and embrace this knowledge, the more empowered you become, not just in intimacy, but in every part of your life. Remember that there is no such thing as perfect when it comes to sexual wellness. It's all about feeling good, safe, and empowered in your own skin. And most importantly, it's about enjoying the process of learning, growing, and discovering what works best for you. So take your time, prioritize yourself, and don't shy away from the wonderful journey of understanding your body. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share it with someone who might benefit from these conversations. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And drop a comment if you have any questions or thoughts on today's topic. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, your sexual wellness is a vital part of your overall well-being, and you deserve to feel empowered every step of the way. Take care and keep embracing your amazing self. See you next time.